Hello friends, you're 1781997. This will be another Pokemon Sword casual gameplay. And today we are going to start off with some wild area action. This will be the 5th part of this series. And sit back because there's still quite a lot to do. In this part, we will be engaging with catching some Pokemon, but really with the Fairy-type gym leader and with some rival battling, whatever. So, take a seat and enjoy. So, starting off, in preparation for the upcoming videos, I started catching a lot of Pokemon, and I was wandering around one day in the wild area, came across this interesting max raid. This is a max raid for Gigantamax Appletun, which, as I quickly figured out, this is actually a pretty strong Pokemon. I didn't expect it. Sometimes, when you do a max raid, you get a Pokemon that is fairly strong. Other times, you get ones that are kind of a dud. But this one was definitely not a dud. And I could tell you from experience, I don't really have very much experience, ironically, with Appletun. I didn't use it in my previous sword gameplay, and so now we are going to try to catch this Gigantamax Appletun. We're using Ice Punch because it's quadruple effective. He critted me, but it didn't do that much. We really needed some new blood into the team to add more variety. Appletun is a grass dragon type, which is a very interesting type for a lot of reasons, giving it some unique weaknesses and resistances. But what we really are here for is its grass type. Sure, the dragon type is nice, but you're not going to be using it very much. So, I got my energy drink here today. I am ready for this recording. I gotta say, out of all the Gigantamax Pokemon I have been experiencing over the last few weeks, Appletun's is pretty interesting. It's a freaking giant apple, and whenever it uses a special, probably special or physical attack, it gushes out apple juice everywhere, or goo, or whatever that is. So you can see this max raid is actually going pretty well. Of course, whenever a Pokemon faints, it gets harder. But if I just Ice Punch one more time, it should be a done deal. Yep. So we're going to try to catch this Appletun. I think it's called ton because it weighs a ton, no pun intended. So, speaking of which, I'm going to use a heavy ball because I figured, Appletun, it's heavy, it weighs a lot, so let's try using this unique ball from 2nd Gen. And unfortunately, Appletun escaped, which was upsetting, to say the least. And I didn't get any TMs either, just the experience candies. So that sucked. That really sucked. And I wasn't particularly happy about it, of course, because I knew that Gigantamax Appletun would be a useful asset to the team. So I was like, well, I wonder if we look through the map a little bit more, if there is another one. Okay, well, one side note. I don't know what the heck this event is, but I've been seeing a lot of Zeraora on the map lately. It's very weird because a text pop-up will appear when you try to enter this max raid, and it says you will not be able to catch this Pokemon. Proceed. And so it's basically telling you you can go into this max raid, but you cannot catch Zeraora. You are not allowed to catch it, which doesn't make any sense to me. I did try it once. It was a very difficult Pokemon to fight, which makes sense because it's a pretty much a legendary. So after a little more cycling, we found another one. I decided to use Rock Smash like last time because he has Ice Punch and that's the best move for it. So let's get right into it. I don't have Nintendo Online right now, so that's why I'm doing it offline, which I don't really mind personally. You know, when you do Nintendo Online with this type of thing, you end up waiting for like often 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and it takes a long time. I don't really want to go through that most of the time. So we actually got some good team members this time, with the Clefairy and the Jolteon, and so this is our second Appleton. The Ice Punch is doing just as much as before. Now you see, the trick with a max raid of any kind is you really should try to get multi-hit moves. Because if the multi-hit moves are strong enough, like just for example, Fury Swipes, Rock Blast, Bullet Seed, any of those kind of moves, if they're like super effective, and the 3-star or higher max raid Pokemon sets up its defenses when it says it's getting desperate, it will just keep hitting the... Oh, this was really cool. I froze Appleton. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe this happened. I mean, of course I kind of knew that you can use status effects on max raid Pokemon. Well, then... well, I froze it, and then the freaking Heatmor unfroze it by using Heat Fire Lash. So I was like, it was so cool though. I have never frozen not just an Appleton, a max raid Pokemon before. So that was really cool. But yeah, we're just gonna push through this, and hopefully this time we'll actually catch it, because we actually need it. It's a nice quiet day to record. You know, you don't want to ever like record when there's like, oh, I don't know, fireworks outside. It's currently the 2nd of July, and I'm recording on a afternoon day, so nobody's celebrating or shooting off fireworks yet. This is just a minor gripe I have, you know. But if it was the nighttime, then there would definitely be boom, boom, pop, pop sounds outside. So, okay, we definitely have this Appleton again. I'm going to use a different ball because the heavy ball was not working, which kind of was annoying because that was the only heavy ball I had. It was one of the balls from the ball guy. This time we're going to use an Ultra Ball. Pretty much the best ball I had on hand at the time. Sorry, I took a sip. And we caught the Appleton. So that's definitely a win in my book. Also, it's a very cute Pokemon, no question about that. I don't really know much about the shield equivalent either. I don't know, I just have never really explored this Pokemon very much. So it says it about Appleton. Eating a sweet apple causes evolution. A nectar scent wafts from its body, luring in the bug Pokemon it preys on. So this is an unusual Pokemon for a lot of reasons. But I will say what it came with right out of the package was pretty nice. I decided to name her, it's kind of a weird name for a girl Pokemon, but whatever, Martinelli. And if you know what Martinelli is, basically it's a apple cider, or like a very fancy apple bubbly. So we have Martinelli here. She has Gluttony. Sorry, I was listening to the cry. Gluttony, which allows her to heal her health with a berry at half health. She has an enormous HP stat. It's like 150 at level 40, which is really high. That means when it's like level 100, it's gonna be 300, 400 easy. I like high HP Pokemon, they're cool. So we moved back in. We were getting ready for a variety of things, but before we get to some deeper parts of the video, I did want to show you this clip. We have a clip here of a double battle with a Ninetales and a Kirlia. I threw out Kiku and TT. I must say TT's been struggling as of late. It's not easy to train TT at all, even though I love TT and I really want to keep TT. But Kiku, on the other hand, is going along nicely. So we're going to Thunder Wave the Ninetales because it's a pest if you don't. And I'm going to successfully flinch it with Headbutt. So this wasn't really a hard battle. Thankfully my team is pretty well balanced. Sometimes these kind of double battles can be really challenging because it can be difficult to control what the opponent is going to do. I'm going to use my Shockwave, and as you can see that did middling damage, honestly. Probably the best thing TT has going for her right now is she's really good at flinching Pokemon. Really good. So we are going to take out this Ninetales. As you can see, it's using Incinerate, which is so annoying in double battles. So annoying. I'm going to just go for the bite because it's already paralyzed. It said to go for the double kick. I don't think that was enough to faint the Ninetales, though. You know, if I was training, like, more seriously, like EV training I was about to say electric. I meant Manectric. If I was more seriously training a Manectric, I think I would train it really actually for a physical Manectric, because it has a really good physical moveset. Its special moveset is better. I mean, alright, so we've beaten the Ninetales, and the reason I wanted to show you this clip is because we have an evolution, and a very important evolution. It's Kiku's evolution, which, as you are probably aware from playing this game before, or being around it, Cinderace is a pretty good starter Pokemon in a lot of ways. So it juggles a pebble with its feet, turning it into a burning soccer ball. Its shots strike opponents and sometimes leave them burned. And then it learns Pyro Ball as soon as it evolves, which is... I knew Pyro Ball was strong from seeing it in like max raids and stuff like that in previous games played, but I had no idea just how powerful this move really was until I started using it. 120 power and a moderate 90 accuracy, which means it does miss every once in a while. So we skipped some stuff and in Bellelea, and now we are at the fairy type gym. Marnie told us that even Morpeko is wary of us, which I think is interesting. And of course Morpeko is a cutie. Alright, and we are going to progress into the next gym. The ball guy is going to give us a love ball, which is it's weird. You have to use it on the opposite gender. But you know, if you're using it on like a legendary Pokemon or a genderless Pokemon, and it's not so great. Do you see that right there? If you talk to that Eevee trainer, she will trade you a native Yamask here in Galar for a Yamask from the older games. So if you didn't want a Galarian Yamask, you actually can get a standard Yamask in this game. Pretty interesting. Alright, so we're ready to engage with the fairy type gym. Having done this gym multiple times before, I would say this one is not too threatening. The biggest asset we had on our side for this gym was by and far Massive Dub as a Berserker. I knew with its high attack and high defense and everything, it would be great for this gym. So we have Opal, and I'd say out of all the gym leaders, I think she's probably one of the most interesting for a variety of reasons. Not just because she's interesting on a story basis alone, but because she kind of reminds me of my grandma, I think, is what she's interesting. She's like the sassy old grandma type, which I like. You know, that's a cool character type. Alright, so let's start with our first gym battle for the fairy gym with Annette. And they kind of did this like back and forth thing with the evolutions. The next gym trainer will have the evolution of Spritzy, and you'll see that later. I was using Savory in these battles because Savory evolves from Corv Squire into Corviknight Knight at level 38, which is pretty soon. So I wanted to just push her as hard as possible to evolve, pretty much. And, you know, I think for the novelty of it, the Fairy Types Gym's questions are fun. But if you've played through the game multiple times, you'll know the answers. If you really wanted to challenge yourself, you would answer the wrong way every time. Now that first question, if the weaknesses of Fairy Type Pokemon, only choices being Poison or Steel, it's both answers are correct. But the preceding questions, there is a wrong answer. So, but for the sake of saving time and not killing myself with these battles, I'm just going to answer every question correctly. So here's Slurpuff, which I think is kind of a cute Pokemon. I think Fairy-type Pokemon in general are pretty cute, but Slurpuff has kind of got this sweet, hanging tongue type of cuteness. It's definitely more of an anime type of thing, I would say. You know, that kind of thing where the Japanese side of Pokemon leaks in every once in a while, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just always interesting to see, since Pokemon has such a big worldwide influence. So the first gym battle is pretty tame. Remember, her name is Annette. This is cheating a little bit, but yes. So the second gym trainer, she has the unevolved form of Slurpuff, Swirlix, and then she'll have the evolved form of the previous under-evolved Pokemon. You'll see. So Swirlix is not a huge challenge. My only problem with Swirlix and the other one from Gen 6 is you do have to trade them to evolve them, which is a downside. I hate having to trade Pokemon. I mean, if you have 2 Switches and 2 cartridges that you own, then it's not a problem. See, that's why I was saying Annette. That's her answer you need. So don't say Annetta. So, but yeah, if you are trying to trade with someone online, or if you have to trade with somebody else's Switch that you're borrowing, it could be a pain, especially if you're doing something like the Pokédex challenge. But to give Game Freak a little bit of leverage, at least, excuse me, to give them a little bit of leverage, at least they made some trade evolutions more palatable. You can get Pokemon like Gengar and Machamp now just by encountering them in the wild, so that does make it easier. I think Aromatisse is a pretty interesting Pokemon, and I know it's pretty bulky. In general, fairy types are pretty bulky, except for physical bulk. I mean, there are some exceptions, of course, like Conflable and Sylveon can be very bulky all the way around. So, they are thick, but most fairy types are more especially bulky than physically bulky. That's true of most. So here's our last trainer for this gym. Like I said, this gym, if you answer all the answers correctly, and if you have good Pokemon for it, it's not like extremely challenging. He does start off with Morgrem, which I don't like this Pokemon. I really don't. I mean, I like the concept of it, don't get me wrong. And it kind of reminds me of the Deviled Ham cans. I don't know if you know what that is, but I might put up a picture of it. But it's just a really annoying Pokemon to fight. So I didn't want to mess around with this thing, so I'm just like, just send out the Steel type Pokemon. And we're going to answer a completely subjective question. And then get our, if you answered that correctly first time, curry over omelets, then tell me. I think that would be interesting to see for first time players. But anyway, with Massive Dub, we're going to try Swagger. Now I must say, in recent battles with Massive Dub using Swagger, I don't know, I guess some people get lucky. Every time I use Swagger, it just doesn't seem to work. Because you know, the whole point of Swagger is the kind of high trade-off, high luck, where you take a chance raising the enemy's attack to hit itself and do a lot more damage. But you also take the chance of it getting raised attack and doing more damage to you. And every time I use Swagger, it just backfires on me terribly. So, this, as you can see, this fairy type can't really do very much to me, even though I am confused. We actually are having a Swagger battle here. We both use Swagger, so it actually worked for once. And then I broke through and got a successful Iron Head, but the battle is not over. We have one more gym trainer Pokemon to face, and it's actually a pretty powerful one. Screech is an interesting move, but I don't really need it for a Pokemon like Massive Dub. So, excuse me. Gardevoir is a threat, and it uses Reflect to raise its defense, which means I'm definitely not going to take it out in one hit. I won't. So, The next hit should take it out as long as nothing else happens. It surprised me with this. Mystical Fire popped off, which is a pretty rare and unique move. It did a lot of damage, but I still broke through and took it out. So, good job, Massive Dub. Good job. Massive Dub. Alright. Sorry for breaking your eardrums. Now, we are finished with the trainer battles. But it was really cool that Savory finally evolved, level 38, into Corviknight. Corviknight is just, the first time I saw Corviknight, I was like, this Pokemon is so cool. It's just so cool. Corviknight, being the Flying Steel type, this Pokemon reigns supreme in the skies of the Galar region, the Blackluster of Steel Body, and in Claws. I didn't read it through. Alright, it learns Steel Wing, which you absolutely need if you're going to use Corviknight, at least initially. I decided we don't really need Power Trip anymore. It was good in the beginning of the game, but now it's just not really that helpful anymore. So now we have Corviknight on our team, which is good because we're about to take on Opal herself. And we need the Steel types. But this also means, if you're paying attention, that we have both a Corviknight and a Berserker, so we have two Steel types. So we have good basis of which to attack Opal, but I'm not really a huge fan of having two of the same type Pokemon on my team. It's just kind of been a thing that I've had, a feeling that I've had for years. So we'll kind of juggle Savory and Massive Dub back and forth. They do fit different roles. And different roles, kind of, their movesets are very different. But Massive Dub and Savory's stats are very similar. They both have high defense, high attack, they're relatively slow, their special defense is not the greatest. So they are kind of similar, at least in stat distribution. So as we can see here, we are getting ready to fight. The only Pokemon that we cannot use in this battle really is Rock Smash, because it's weak to fairy moves. So as you can see, high attack, high defense. The speed is moderate, 66 speed, it's not bad. And we're going to pull Steel Wing to the front. And there's Kiku again, high speed, 96 speed, which I think is, Kiku would be around the speed of TT, for sure. So both Kiku and TT are like our fast Pokemon for the team. So you can count on them outspeeding Pokemon. So we're ready to face Opal. I like the little touch of this gym in that most of the gym leaders come out to meet you, but Opal, being slower and just old, waits for you, which I think is like a nice little touch. So I have fought Opal before, but I will admit it's been a while, and I completely forgot what her Pokemon were, really. I mean, I wasn't worried still, but she does start off with an interesting Pokemon to start off with. So, let's get into this next gym battle. This will be the fifth gym battle. She starts off with a Galarian Weezing. Galarian Weezing is very bulky. It's, as you can see here, it has high defense, but its special defense is not even that great. I thought these stats would be different, but as it turns out, its stats are actually the same as normal Weezing, so the stats are not any different. It has neutralizing gas, which works the same way as Mold Breaker, so it makes your abilities not work. basically. So I sent out Mai because Mai is a good counter for this. I have a lot of physical attackers on my team. Mai has the advantage of being able to burn and confuse enemies and basically weaken them down before they attack. And Mai also has really high special defense. So I'm looking forward to seeing Mai regress more. There is a certain moveset that I have in mind with Mai, but I can't currently execute it, if that makes sense. So we're going to burn Weezing, Galarian Weezing anyway, and this will make it slowly lose health over time. And basically from here, I think I also confused it. Yes, we're going to confuse it. I didn't really have to confuse the Galarian Weezing, but I figured it might as well, just for some extra damage if it hits itself. And for them from here, I mean, we don't have any special moves, so we're just going to start slugging Weezing with our Shadow Punches. She asks favorite color. Despite her insisting on pink, always say purple, because she really prefers purple deep down, which is kind of interesting. We got a stat boost, and now I'm going to well, hold on. I was about to say, I must have had to Shadow Punch. And to Mai's credit, even that Shadow Punch from a very bulky Pokemon did good damage. That was respectable damage. I have to say, I really love Shadow Punch. 60 damage is not the greatest, but it always hits. It's one of the type of moves that always hits regardless of what's going on. And so Weezing faints from its burn, and we are ready for the next combatant, which is Mawile. Of Opal's team, her Mawile is the weakest, pretty much. I mean, yeah, I can be resistant to some Pokemon. Okay, here's my stat boost. I got some serious stat boosts from answering your questions correctly. I figured it before I swap Mai out, I might as well burn and confuse at least. Mawile can't really do much to Mai here, so that's why I wasn't too worried, but we'll at least burn it, because it is a physical attacker, and it is going to use Crunch. Notice, just even if it was super effective, that was pitiful damage. Only like 10 HP. And when she asks you how old she is, always say 16 years old. Okay, so get another stat boost, and at this point, Mai is just a tank and is doing so much damage. We even gained back the attack that we just lost. Shadow Punch did alright damage. And at this point, I could easily swap out to another Pokemon. But, you know, I figured with all the stat boosts, we might as well just stay in and just slug it with more punches. Its Dark type move is not doing nearly enough damage to take out Mai either. So that'll be an easy W. As I have said before, Mai has been a very, very useful asset to the team. So here's Togekiss. Mai now is its health could be better. Togekiss is a threat. It is a dangerous Pokemon, no doubt. And we want to disable it as much as we can. So it's going to hit us with a special attack. Mai is very specially bulky, so we at least confused it before we sent out something else. I sent in TT because TT has the best moves for this. TT is going to take... Oh! Nope, TT avoided it! Good job, TT. See, TT is just a hero. I love TT. Or heroine, if you would prefer. Alright, so we're just going to paralyze it. Now we're going to have a speed advantage for sure. I'm going to use Shockwave. Don't expect much because Togekiss is pretty bulky. It would take at least 3 Shockwaves. We're gonna lose. Well, Draining Kiss is not helpful at all to us. So I'm gonna use Shockwave again. In retrospect, I probably should have swapped out to keep TT alive, but we didn't do that this time, so good effort, TT, but we will try harder in the future. So, this isn't a very easy Pokemon to swap into, but we did have Massive Dove, who will counter this pretty hard. So, an Iron Head should probably take it out in one hit. But, you know, I figured let's be a little cocky. Raise our attack by 1 stage so that it's guaranteed to take it out. It's going to Air Slash us, but because it resists, it didn't do as much as it could. And because Togekiss is paralyzed, we outspeed for an easy hit. And now we are on to Opal's final Mon, which will be her... Why am I forgetting the name of it now? Her Alchemy. So, her Morning Tea is kicking in, and not in a moment too soon, with her Alchemy. Fortunately, Massive Dove is a very, very good counter to this. We are going to I keep doing that. Dynamax as well for an easy, powerful attack. I do have to say, out of all of the Gigantamax designs, Alchemy has a really cool one. Really cool. Being just a giant cake, which is cool, you know. It's definitely one of the more original ones. But we are also going to Dynamax because Massive Dove is going to need the strength. I have to say, it's a cool Pokemon, Dynamax, for sure. So we are just going to go for a strong attack. But let's see how we take this attack from Alchemy. As you can see, that didn't do very much. So that was pretty nice. And then Max Steel Spike will do... It took him out in 1 hit. So that was the correct call. Well done, Massive Dove. Well done. And that was a pretty tame gym battle, all things considered. The only Pokemon that fainted was TT, and that was something I could have prevented. So, we are ready to get out of here and move on. Don't care, my pink. Let's get out of here. Before we go, she is going to give us 2 things. I think I may have actually cut part of that out. But she's going to give us a fairy badge, which will allow us to use, or to rather catch, Pokemon of like level 50, if I remember correctly. It's either 45 or 50. 45, okay. And she gives us Draining Kiss, which if you have fairy types or Pokemon that can use it, it's a pretty good move, because it's because you could heal your Pokemon with it in battle. So she saunters off, and we are done with the 5th gym, and it was pretty easy. So we are ready to move on. She is going to make a comment to us about coming with us to Hammerlock for more story. Last few gameplays I went with her, but this time I rejected her. You may think that's kind of mean, but it wastes a lot of time, and I didn't want to waste any time in this gameplay. So, let her do her thing. We skipped over some story, and if you know what's next, you'll know we have another battle ahead of us, and more specifically a rival battle. I wanted to see if any of these attacks would be useful, but actually I can't use any of them. Thunder Fang and Ice Fang and Fire Fang, TT could use those, but so we have our team ready for this battle. For the first time that I fought Hop in this rival battle on the bridge, I removed Savory from the team. So Savory is not currently on the team right now. So let's take him on. This should be the sixth gym battle? Sorry, I can't pronounce 6 right. So he's going to send out Trevenant. And we started with TT. Now I didn't remember he had Trevenant in front, but thankfully TT is able to use Bite. So let's see how the luck goes for us this time. I'm going to start with the Thunder Wave, because that's always a good thing to start with. It's paralyzed, but it's going to confuse us, which, not the best trade-off. Of course, it wasn't something I could predict. I decided, let's just swap them out. So, as you can see, we have Rock Smash, Massive Dub, Kiku, all the ones I had before except for Savory. So, Kiku's going to come out. I decided, we got lucky there, we've had swapping into anything. Now would be a good time to test Pyro Ball. This attack is so cool. I love Pyro Ball. And it just destroys that Trevenant. That was the right move to do there. So, Trevenant is out of the way. He's going to send out his Snorlax next. Now, I did have Double Kick, but that wasn't necessarily guaranteed to take it out. I'm going to try a Headbutt. It did not flinch, and Snorlax is going to Body Slam us. It critted us. He makes a comment on it critting us. And then it paralyzes us as well, so he got quite lucky there. So Kiku is already in a bad position. Second Pokemon into the game. And we're going to swap in Rock Smash, because Rock Smash is the best counter for this. Rock Smash learned Close Combat quite recently. Oh, no, not yet. Sorry, my mistake. It still knows Drain Punch. So we're going to go for the classic 1-2 combo. And we're going to hit this Drain Punch for massive damage. And that will take out Snorlax. And also conveniently heal us up as well for the next Pokemon. Alright, TTs will gain a level. And this Pokemon right here, Heatmor, it caused so much trouble because it had a special move called Fire Lash that we actually saw earlier in the video. Fire Lash lowers the Pokemon's defense every time it hits. So every time Heatmor uses Fire Lash, it'll lower my Pokemon's defense, which is really dangerous because if it keeps using Fire Lash, my Pokemon will just keep getting weaker and weaker. So I sent out Mai because it'll be able to take the hits a little bit better than Rock Smash would. And as you can see, this isn't working very well because my defense keeps getting lowered. I decided to try Confuse Ray. I couldn't burn Heatmor because Heatmor has Flash Fire, I believe. And it would just make it stronger, which of course is not helpful. I even heal up my just to see if I could do more. I thought I might get lucky with the confusion, but no, not this time. Fire Lash is doing more than half health, and If he uses it again, I will easily faint. So, Massive Dub cannot be sitting on this. TT will not be able to take much of it, and Rock Smash won't be able to take much of it either. So this is a surprisingly bad situation to be in from a Heatmor. It's amazing how one move can cause so much trouble. So I decided, let's just go for it and swap in for a clean swap, since my wasn't going to be able to do very much anyway. And this is where it all started going downhill. We're going to send in TT, and we're going to Thunder Wave it, because I hoped this would be able to stop its rampage on my team. I did get that lucky first paralysis, so good job, TT. And we're going to go for the classic paralysis flinching combo. Second paralysis, pretty nice. Can we get a flinch? Not this time. So Fire Lash is going to hit us, and as you can see, that's already a 2-hit KO, which is not good. Not good at all. I decided to do a little more damage, but he broke the paralysis and took out TT. This is a losing situation in a lot of ways. We still have 3 powerful Pokemon. Kiku is paralyzed and at low health, so Kiku is not in the best condition. I decided to go for a Fake Out, but he healed up his Heatmor. He must have seen how well it was doing. I decided to Drain Punch to get some health back. That did do good damage. As you have probably seen many times by now, Rock Smash is kind of my anchor for a lot of these things. It's so reliable. So I'm going to use Mega Punch, and that finished Heatmor off finally. What a nightmare. So we are now we learn Close Combat, which is extremely powerful move. It's a huge upgrade by 75 power up to 120. So Close Combat just does insane damage on anything you use it on. He has one Pokemon left, his level 37 Rillaboom. I'm going to use Close Combat on him. His green power keeps getting stronger, and Rillaboom's going to use Drum Beating, its signature move, which takes out Rock Smash, unfortunately. Which leaves us with Kiku, who is not in a good situation at all. If I had like a full restore, that would have been perfect in this situation, but we didn't have that, and it outsped us because we were paralyzed. And now the only Pokemon that's left that can do anything is Massive Dub. Can Massive Dub pull this off? Oh, and I forgot. Oh, I made a mistake. There's 2 Pokemon left. It knocked off our Shell Bell, which is not good. I swaggered his Rillaboom, which is a risky strategy, but at this point I was not in a good position to win anyway. And it appears Rillaboom is faster than us. It's going to use Slam, which is now boosted. Massive Dub took that pretty well, considering that was a boosted attack. And as you can see, this is going to do a lot of damage. Massive Dub barely holds on, and it lost speed for doing that. But Rillaboom also hung on too. So this is just not going well at all. I'm going to heal Massive Dub up. And it's going to use Jump Beating again. It did about half health, and now we're definitely slower than Rillaboom. And just like that, we lost the battle. This honestly shocked me at the time, because out of all of the hop battles, this is one of the more difficult ones, without question. So we're gonna skip to a more wholesome segment to take off the burns of that last battle, and I'm gonna show you this catching this Cubchoo. Very cute Pokemon, very cute. I got it staticked. Now this is a Pokemon I decided to catch because its evolved form would actually be kind of helpful, though statistically it would hold the same kind of position that Massive Dub would. Their stats are similar. So I just named him Cuddles because I'm totally unoriginal. And we are going to move right along. Now let's see, what was I doing here again? We had a confrontation with this Gyarados. And I discovered here... Oh, okay, here we go. We are completely changed up the team. We have trained a little bit more, and we've added a new Pokemon, new catch, that I named Mister. Mister is a really stupid name, and I honestly didn't like it, but I got used to it. It's one of those names that you hate at first, and then you get used to it. So, Mister is going to help us in this battle. Of course, Mister is a Shuckle. So, we're going to try this battle again with some changes. I'm going to start out with Rock Smash first this time. And what move did I do first? I can't actually use Fake Out on Trevenant, so I must have just gone for the Ice Punch. Fire Punch also would have worked here, but I really just prefer Ice Punch over Fire Punch. And, you know, I made some minor adjustments to the moves on the team. Ice Punch did great damage, and it actually froze. That is the second time this playthrough that has happened. So, Ice Punch, man, it's just, it does work. I don't know what to say. Snorlax comes out. I'm gonna fake. I tried to Fake Out, but it wasn't the first turn that it came in, which was a dumb move. And, you'll notice Snorlax used Stockpile and raised its defenses by, special defense and defense by 1 level. I'm just gonna use my Close Combat, does huge damage. And it uses that move on us. Rock Smash now has leftovers, which will help it keep it alive. Surprisingly, it was faster than Snorlax, even paralyzed. So that was pretty impressive. So, next Pokemon is this dreaded Heatmor. I'm not even going to hold back on it this time. Unfortunately, Rock Smash wasn't able to do anymore. So, we are going to send in Kiku. So Kiku will at least resist its attacks. I'm going to go for a Headbutt. That does a lot of damage for a Headbutt. And we're going to go for a Headbutt again. As you can see, that actually worked way better than I thought. And the reason why is because the AI will not use a fire type attack on a fire type. It just doesn't want to do it. I didn't really have to use double kick there, but I ended up doing it. And in retrospect, that annoys me because if I just remember that, it would have made my life easier. So this is the unknown Pokemon of his party. It's Boltund. We're going to send in Mister to take on his new threat. Mister has higher special defense than defense. I tried to raise my defense, but it roared me out. So we have Mai to take care of this. Unfortunately, Boltund has Crunch, so this wasn't as good of a switch in as I originally thought. And we're going to swap back into Mister, because it'll be able to eat this next hit. I'll show it likely later, but Mr.'s defensive stats as a as a Shuckle are just through the roof. It's insane. It has some of the best defensive stats I've ever seen. I wanted to use Rest there, but Shuckle's too slow. So we at least did some damage. Now it's dog versus dog, and we're having a dog on dog battle. First flinch, easy. Second, okay, we didn't get the second one. So this Bolton's being very annoying. I sent in, well, I got Kiku sent in for me, and Pyro Ball was enough to take it out. But we still have one Pokemon that is left. And of course, that's the Rillaboom. Kiku was already out, so I just used Pyro Ball. And that was enough to take it out. So maybe I should have just kept Kiku alive. Alright, so I want to thank you for watching. We will continue this series soon with even more to look forward to next video. This is Stuart1781997 signing out.